I got kicked out of the brokerage because I wanted to monetize my cold calling.
So you got kicked out of brokerage because
Wholesaling.
Okay.
So
what's up, guys? Today we have special guest Ian Hilario. He's an investor from Vegas who specializes in novations and sub 2. Welcome to the show, bro.
what's going on, Daniel?
Bro, I mean, like, number one, like, I think the first time we met was at a WealthCon, and just like we were in like the
focus groups.
Yeah, it was like we break out into like little huddles, right? So like all the different all stars were like we're talking about our challenges and things, and like it was so funny because like we were like, oh, what should we do with this problem? And the one recurring theme that we all came up with is like we need interns. It was like we need more help on social media. Interns. We need some help on marketing.
Interns.
We need some help on project management.
Interns. And then the funniest part was like after like 5 or 6 of us went around in our circle, Ryan Pineda came by.
Yeah.
And I think it was Jose, the guy who did commercial and businesses.
Yeah.
He was telling Ryan what was his problem.
Yeah.
And then Ryan was like, dude, you need to hire interns. And then we all just busted out laughing. It was so funny.
Dude, it's so funny. I mean, I think at the time, like, so the cool part of like both of our businesses, like we're at points where like we're growing and expanding, and we're trying to build our team.
Yeah.
And then one of the challenges is finding like great talent or like good team members for like your team, right? And so like a great way to kind of get that started is, or one of the ways is using interns.
Exactly. And then interns, it's like trading value for value. Mm-hmm. Like somebody that's just trying to break into this, they want to get to know the foundations of real estate, and exchange for their time and, like manpower, you get to teach them all of the ins and outs of real estate of whatever they want to learn for as long as they want to be with you.
Yeah. I feel like that's like a win-win situation where it's like there they get to learn, right? They get to be a part of it and kind of like learn things, but at the same time you also get the manpower and you get like their work. So they're training their time for knowledge basically, right? So.
Exactly. And you never know, like they could be like sculpted into an A player because it's just like if you bring them from the ground up and you teach them like the skills and the mindset that they need to be in.
Yeah.
They could be gold. They could be like the next person running your operation while you're in C-suite.
And the cool thing too is like as you have interns, like you can kind of get a feel for them, like what they will eventually be like as an employee. And so some of our interns actually turn out to be full-time employees after the fact. It's just because like they did a great job here, so why not like place them in we offered them full-time positions, so it worked out for everybody. So
yeah, no, I've had some really good interns, and then I don't know, they ended up like figuring out the skills they needed, and then I pushed them to try and go and do other things. Because this wasn't their passion. This just set a foundation for them.
So I mean, some of our interns like stuck with us. Other ones like went spread their wings to try and do like their own thing, and like everybody is kind of like on their own journey of just self-discovery and like what they want out of life. And so I think it's good to have like a little pit stop in your company to see, is this a good fit? Does this align with my long-term goals, or do I want to kind of go and spread my wings and do my own thing? So.
Exactly.
But okay, so tell us a little bit more about maybe like your business and like what were you doing before real estate, and how did you kind of get started with real estate?
Okay, so a little bit about my current business.
Yeah.
So I run an operation out here in Las Vegas. We do direct-to-seller marketing. My company's name is Home Hub. It has a funny logo. I have 2 though. One's for sellers and one's for networking. I started off actually as an agent.
Okay.
But prior to that, let me give you some backstory. I've always been kind of like an entrepreneur flipping things.
Okay.
I started off in like retail, high commission retail,
Okay.
and then luxury retail. I got into flipping sneakers like Jordans, Yeezys back in like 2000. Like
what does that even look like? That's an interesting world to me.
Like flipping shoes?
Yeah, what does that look like? So
Before it looked like camping out all night and then putting a bunch of like camp chairs in line and having your entire family and friends come and just sit in the chairs with you.
So like this is like when they do like the launches or like the releases at the physical stores.
Yeah.
So then
this is like OG.
Your hours like before it's gonna open, you just put like a bunch of chairs there, you're reserving the spots, and then when like before the time comes, all your family and friends come in to like sit in them.
Yeah, pretty much. Like we would line up.
Because you only can buy like one per person. Is that what it is?
It's only one per person, but like we would sometimes line up like depending on the store, we'd line up like 10 p.m. the night prior.
Yeah.
And we would just have like I don't know. Everybody would bring snacks. People would bring like a generator and a TV and video games. It's crazy.
It's so, I mean, it sounds fun, but it's just like, but it's so creative from the very beginning. You're already thinking like outside the box to put like the chairs for like the different like seats, and so.
I mean, I saw people do this in New York.
Yeah.
Like those people that line up and buy Supreme.
Yeah.
Like, there's an actual hourly paying job for someone to just stand in line for you.
Really?
In New York, it's crazy.
You just pay them to just do that and stand in line for you.
So I was like, man, I'm just gonna ask. My sister has 8 kids. All right, I'm gonna ask all 8 kids. Post up some chairs.
That's funny.
I'll give you $10 each.
So like, what do the numbers look like on that? So like, you stand in line, you buy. What are the shoes cost on the purchase?
So I'll give you an example. Like, let's just say it was like some Air Jordan 1s, right?
Okay.
Those would retail for like, I think it was like 160, 170 after tax. A good pair, like you could probably pick them up and then flip them for like upwards of 200 to 240 really quick. Same day.
Okay, so like $80 profit on
yes,
instantly.
But what I would do is I would have like my big line of people, right, with the ghost chairs. They would all come back before opening. We'd go in and we'd buy like anything from like size 8.5 upwards to 11. Any size.
Okay.
And
those are like the most sought after sizes.
Those were like my main clientele.
Okay.
And then after we had all those sizes and like on deck, we would then post on Facebook and say, hey, $20 if you need a size swap. Just size swap me like a dead stock brand new pair.
The same ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if I had like an 8.5 and the person got like a 9.5, give me $20 and I'll swap you.
Okay.
So after like a week of size swapping, just getting like, $20 per on that, then we would sit on them on ice maybe for 2-3 months when the hype dies, when it's not as saturated.
Okay.
And then we'd list them on like GOAT, StockX, or just put them in a consignment store.
So interesting. I mean, like I love it's the creativity in the mind's like already there from the very beginning, So like it's just like they're all like honestly like real estate, being an agent on like small business, it's all it's all hustle. Yeah. But then like it's just like the numbers are just changed, right? So as opposed to like 160 purchase to a 240 flip, now it's like 160,000 purchase to a 240 flip, right? So it's
exactly. All I would look at, like I would make spreadsheets for like flipping shoes just because I wanted to be organized. Like, what did I buy this at? Yeah. When did I buy this? And then it's like the things I sold, I would calculate my ROI and all that. No one was doing this in the shoe world.
That's what I mean. So it's almost like you're from the very beginning. You're always like a little businessman, entrepreneur, even from an early age.
Yeah, exactly. And then like after shoes and getting into high commission retail, I realized, you know what? I want a serious sales job. So I looked into real estate, getting a real estate license and insurance licenses.
Okay.
I ended up getting all my insurance licenses, like property, casualty, life, health, and I started working for State Farm, and I was helping build a State Farm office out here. That was like the first pivotal professional moment of my entrepreneurial career, because then I got into the corporate world of being an entrepreneur.
Okay. And what do you mean by that?
So I learned like the whole corporate ladder of like how State Farm works, what it looks like dealing with an HR department, a sales department, or
like
sales training department.
Like a real giant company that has like all the different parts inside of it.
Yeah, and then like selling something boring. Like I only really wanted to get into insurance because I was like, okay, cool. You get residual income on every 6 months when someone renews their policy. And I mean, you're making an impact. I'm selling life insurance, like a form of health. But in the end, after 5 years of being in insurance,
so you were 5 years in that. So,
I was actually the regional sales trainer for State Farm on the West Coast.
So you really excelled in that job and in that position.
Yeah, and I think it was just because of cold calling.
Okay.
And I didn't even know it was cold calling.
Okay.
When I first started, they were just like, oh, like, here's a list, old lists. You're going to just keep calling the same people every 6 months. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, done. Just click. And it was all click to call. This is like low-tech days.
Okay.
So when
it was like the physical phone, like
it was like a physical phone. State Farm didn't even have like a good system. They had like it almost looked like Excel but a different color.
Okay.
But that was their CRM, and it was just, I don't know, it was boring to me. I got up pretty high in the ranks with State Farm. I ended up like managing an office.
Okay.
And then the only people I was around were just people 3 times my age. I was working like 12 hours a day. I was in a relationship that wasn't working out, and I was just like, man, did I really let my life go down?
So like you saw your future in that because how old were you at that time?
I was it was around when I was 24 to 25.
Okay, so 24 to 25, but you saw guys who are like 50 or like are doing the same job as you, or like in the same thing, like a few steps ahead. But like basically if you stayed in that career, you'd be that person at 50, right?
Yeah, so I'd be half bald, and I would have like a bunch of crow's feet and wrinkles. Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have that regardless anyway. So
yeah, yeah. But if I'm happier, I'll push it a little bit further.
Okay,
you know.
Okay.
But it came down to it around when I was 24 or 25 that this isn't for me. Like, this is affecting my personal life too much, and it's not worth it. Like, I'm making good money, but
what was good money at that time?
I was making around $280,000 to $300,000 a year.
Really, that much as insurance? Wow, that's really good. I mean, that's really good. I was not expecting that much.
Yeah, but that's after 3 years of building a book of business and getting renewals, moving up the ladder, and then like. That's also 12-hour days. So that like I had all this money, but what could I do with it?
Yeah, because you're working for 12 hours.
And then that relationship fell apart, and that was the last straw. I was just like, man, I gotta do something else. Luckily, I already had my real estate license.
Okay.
I got that in 2017, and I decided, you know what? I don't really want to just be part-time and just do rentals for people.
Okay.
So my best friend Gabe, he was just like, hey, join King Realty Group with me.
Okay.
And that was just that was my first full-time brokerage. Okay. And I was like, okay, cool. This is cool. Was there for like a month, and then I dipped because I didn't learn anything. I ended up joining, and shout out to this broker. His name is Craig Tan. He runs a brokerage out here called Huntington and Ellis. He typically didn't hire new agents, but he saw I had experience with running a business with insurance, and he decided to give me a chance and pair me with one of the other agent teams.
Okay, cool.
And I just followed everything that they told me. I was just like, wow, cold calling? I did this. I did this for 5 years in insurance. This is no problem. Except now, like, instead of a deal being like, I don't know, like $60 every 6 months, it's like in the thousands. I was like, hot damn, like one house is $10K.
You're salivating at that point, right? Because you're like, dude, like the same amount of effort over here applied in this different vehicle, it's like way more the bigger return.
Yeah, I looked at it and I got my first deal, my first listing from calling expireds, and I was like, man, I'm on a team. I know I'm only getting like 30 or 40%, but like, hot damn, this is how I'm gonna get rich. Like, this is it. This is the life. I just gotta keep making these cold calls, keep getting these deals, and then life's gonna be freaking good.
So I mean, so like, how long were you with at brokerage, and then how did that turn out?
I specifically remember it was August 2018. That's when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go full time, all in, join Huntington and Ellis.
Okay.
And
so
then
you left your job as insurance.
I left State Farm. I was already gone. I cut all ties with that, and I mean, the original plan was keep insurance, hold the residuals, and then get into real estate. I failed to read my contract with State Farm that it was conflict of interest.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I'm really not happy here. Let's just get out of this, figure out what I got to do to sever, and then maybe sell the book of business, and then get into real estate. So August 2018, I started working at that brokerage full time. Was hitting expireds. I don't know if you know who Mike Ferry is, but like he's like a real estate agent coach, and he teaches them like call expireds at 7:50 to 7:55 a.m. every morning. Follow up. Handle objections. Schedule appointments. So I did that. 6 months. And then by the time the end of the year came, I got kicked out of the brokerage because I wanted to monetize my cold calling, because I was like, you know what? I'm on a team. I want to make a little bit of more money. Hey, what's wholesaling?
Wait. So, okay. So you got kicked out of brokerage because
wholesaling. Okay. So this was like a boutique brokerage. They were well known. They don't mess with like they don't mess with that kind of stuff, gray area or anything like that. And I didn't really know any better. So I was just like, cool, wholesale deal. Wow, that was the quickest $5,000 I've ever made. I'm used to 30-day escrows. Now I'm at like...
How did you even find out about wholesaling?
So I actually heard from it about, again, my best friend Gabe. The same one that told me to get into real estate, being a real estate agent full time. He was like, this is what wholesaling is. It's so fast, it's quick, it's easy. And me being like an egotistical agent, I was like, oh, whatever, what is that? Like you're dealing with ugly houses. Like, how do you make money with that?
And that's the thing. Like there's a stigma with a lot of realtors. Like they don't want to tarnish their brand by selling ugly houses. Yeah. So they don't even want to, like, if it's ugly house, they don't even want to touch it, right? So
yeah. But after a while, I was just like, okay, well, if I'm able to like wholesale houses, that's me being able to work with investors, and that's me broadening my horizon of what I can offer as an agent. So I was like,
can you explain what wholesaling is?
Yeah. So wholesaling, it's like make a cash offer to a seller.
Okay.
Once you and that seller agree to a number for that cash offer and accept it, you open escrow. But instead of closing on the property, I'm essentially going to use an assignment agreement to sell that contract for a fee to an actual flipper who is going to be the end buyer at a higher price.
So they have the cash to close on, they're gonna actually flip the house.
Yes.
But then like they need you to kind of get it on the contract first before like they can like, and then they'll pay you a small fee or a big fee to kind of to take that contract off your hands.
Exactly. So essentially, as a wholesaler, you're not exactly an investor. You're just like a bona fide marketer.
Yeah, or a middleman.
And a
right?
negotiator.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So like you're wholesaling at the same time you're at the boutique brokerage.
Yeah, and then I just remember the broker saying, "You better not be wholesaling something," and I'm all panicking and stuff. And then Gabe's like, "Okay, we're gonna JV on this." And I'm like, "JV? What is that? Whatever, just get it done."
Yeah,
and he sells it to Ryan.
Ryan Pineda.
Yeah, and then he sells it, and I locked up the deal.
Okay.
I give it to Gabe. And then Gabe's like, "Okay, I got this. We'll JV on this, and we'll get rid of this." We sell it to Ryan for $10K.
Okay.
We split $5K each, and I'm just like, "Dang, that was fast!" Like, an average price point back in that day for like listings were like $250 to $270.
Okay.
So
commission on that is like 3%.
2.5% to 3%. So it was off by a few thousand, but like to get that within a week.
Wait, but so if you sell a house for $250. 3% of that is, what is that? I'm trying to think.
7,500.
Okay, 7,500. But you split half of that with like your team or your broker, so you keep like really half of that. So you can walk away like 3,000.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's what really opened my eyes because I was like, man, like I don't even need a license for this. Like, man, we just made 10K in like 5 to 7 days. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So then my broker find out about it, and then he was like, "I can't have that at this brokerage. I gotta let you go."
Yeah.
And then my team leader didn't really like that either.
Yeah.
So ended up calling Ryan Pineda and saying, "Hey, Gabe told me to give you a call. I want to join your brokerage. We just wholesaled you a deal, man. Don't know if you remember me. It was a small condo that Gabe sent you." And then I ended up joining, and that's where I started learning how to like actually wholesale, flip, and kind of run that kind of operation.
So you kind of joined like an investor-friendly brokerage.
Yeah.
Where you could like sell houses, but you could also wholesale and flip at the same time.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? Like, I was so used to like a boutique brokerage. Everybody would be in the office by 7:45, suited up, and then at 7:50 they're loading up their dialers, they're locking themselves in their room.
So that's how the boutique brokerage works. It's like everybody they're consistent.
They're in the zone.
Like
Yeah, and then they had like almost all of them had like a mirror just like right next to their laptop, so they could make sure that they were smiling when they were dialing.
That's so interesting. And the crazy thing is, like, when you're on the phone, you can actually tell when someone is smiling and talking. It's weird how that works. Or if you're standing or sitting, like, that also makes a difference in your energy too.
Exactly. It's kind of like when I talk on the phone and I'm like doing hand gestures, like as if they're gonna see me, you know. But they can hear how intense it is.
That's so interesting. But the hack of the mirror, I've never heard that before. That's if you're cold calling, that's a killer hack to put a picture, a mirror, so you can see if you're smiling or not. That's so interesting.
Yeah. I actually recently started doing that.
Okay.
Like I started because I had to start calling again and doing lead management, and I was like, okay, I don't want to get burnt out. Let me put a mirror of myself like in my little cubby, and then I put a picture of my girlfriend on the mirror, and I'm like, all right, you got me. All right, cool. Let's get it. Smile dial.
I love it. I love
back
it,
in
bro.
the days.
That's so good. Okay, so you transition over to the Pineda's brokerage, and then now how did you get introduced to like flipping or wholesaling, like, or what does that process look like?
So again, I owe a lot of this to Gabe.
Okay.
And he was just kind of introducing me how to do it because I was already cold calling expireds, cold calling just listed listings that I did, just solds. So I was just like, how do I implement cash offer? Like, oh my gosh, like it's so overwhelming doing like going for an appointment for a listing versus like, I can give you a cash offer as is right now.
Yeah.
You know?
So how do you choose whether or not when you go on a listing whether you want to sell them as a realtor or as a cash offer, or do you pitch both?
You know what? Like I have a process now. Okay. So let me kind of jump to the present.
Okay.
So with how I do it now, I always have a lead manager qualify for motivation, price, timeline, and condition.
Okay.
And basically, once we have the motivation, and timeline,
Okay.
if price is within reason, then we go towards our acquisition.
Okay.
No matter what, we always give that lowball anchor cash offer.
Okay.
No matter
Okay.
what. That is
Okay.
always step one of our process.
Okay.
Next, if that is too low, we anchored them, and whatever offer we give after that is going to look so much better.
Yeah,
Typically, we will go for novation. We won't call it that. We'll call it maybe like the concierge service or equity protection program.
Okay.
Just because I don't want a seller looking up what is novation and then getting all this attorney jargon, you know?
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, I tell them, look, we have another program. We have the list to sell program. Essentially, I will represent you as an agent. I am a licensed agent here at More Realty Brokerage, and I will basically list your home on the MLS, handle all the marketing, and negotiate on your behalf to get you the best possible sales price.
Got it. So they really have like 3 options. There's like the cash offer, which is like the easy button, but it's also the very lowest. There's like the creative or innovation offer, or like the concierge service. Or they're just like a typical like listing agent. So.
I do, yes, all of those correct, yes. But if listing really doesn't work, I do mention to them, look, we do have another more creative approach, and that's where I pitch subject to, seller finance, or maybe even a hybrid of the both.
This is like a lot of times when like they want to sell their house, but they're actually underwater or they can't. So like they have to bring money to the table to actually close. So then in that case, like here, subject to might be a lot better like opportunities.
Yeah, because it's like some people like, I don't know, when all the interest rates got really high, right?
Yeah.
Like they're probably underwater right now. Right? Or they can't sell and cover real estate agent commissions and closing costs.
Because the price dropped a little bit because like the interest rate.
So it's kind of like, all right, I may not be able to lock that up and wholesale that to like a regular investor. Maybe a buy and hold investor, or maybe just a family that can't even get approved for a loan. Like, and I've had some luck in the past year, like locking up some no equity sub 2s or little equity and selling them to owner occupied buyers, which I've novated them, which is crazy.
Okay, interesting.
Lock it up as a subject to, novate it to put it on market.
Wow. Okay.
And then
they come in saying like, I'm offering like the mortgage along with this.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I mean, like the thing is, it's crazy because when I was first starting out as an investor, I didn't understand why someone would, number one, would be willing to sell their house sub 2, and number 2, why would they buy it like sub 2? I think the whole thing did not make sense to me. But now, like as a investor, I'm like, some of my properties I would totally sell to somebody sub 2, and there's a lot of situations where I would love to buy a house sub 2 too. Like, you know, it's just
exactly.
It's just these creative things like open up a whole new world of just opportunities and ways to kind of like do deals.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've realized, like with subject to, like, okay, cool.
Sorry,
Purchase price is like.
Explain what subject to is.
Okay, so subject to it's basically purchasing a property but leaving the standing mortgage in the seller's name.
Okay.
But you still take title to the deed.
Okay.
The seller is still responsible for the mortgage, but you are making payments on their behalf to the mortgage.
Got it. So the thing is, like, let's say like a house is like they bought it for $300,000. They have like a $250,000 mortgage on it.
Yeah.
Then it's at like 2%. I don't know, say it says like $1,000 a month or whatever that is. When you come to buy it, then you're taking over that $250,000 mortgage, keeping it in their name, and you're making payments on their behalf. But you own the house, and you just pay the delta between like your purchase price and that existing mortgage.
Exactly. And it's funny, those numbers that you brought up were very close to a property that I bought subject to.
Okay.
Almost on accident.
Okay.
And then I lived in it for 2 years.
Let's hear the story.
Okay, so do you remember like March and April 2020?
That was a crazy. I had some stories from those times. That's right in the middle of COVID, right? The whole world shut down.
Yeah. So this is when I was running a brokerage. So I left Forever Home Realty and I started and opened a new brokerage in Las Vegas called Realty Solutions. I wasn't the broker.
Okay.
We had a corporate broker for that because I didn't really want to hold liability. So let's just say that was the end of 2019. Fast forward to March and April 2020. I was building like kind of a small team. You know, I had a couple agents under me. We ended up getting a listing, and it was just this 2,400 square foot single story house with vaulted ceilings. It had a dual master bedroom, 3-car garage. This was the dream. It even had a backyard,
it's like the perfect American dream house.
And it was in an area that I liked.
Yeah.
So it was a listing, and we went under contract in the beginning of March.
Under contract to list it.
Yeah, well, I listed it at the beginning of March, and then we accepted an offer pretty fast. But
what was the offer at?
So it was. I remember I listed it like 320, 325.
Okay.
We got an offer of like list price 325 or something like that. And then 30-day escrow. It's normal. It's a conventional buyer. At the end of March, we stopped hearing from the buyer and the buyer's agent. And then the beginning of April, we're like, man, we're closing in a week. My seller's getting stressed because like buyer hasn't signed. So I finally get in touch with the agent, and the agent tells me, man, my buyer lost their job. Can you sign this COVID addendum? And I'm like, COVID addendum, because that just got released in at the end of March for.
What's a COVID addendum?
Basically, anybody that was under contract to sell, it was basically protecting their earnest money deposit due to COVID or job loss. Like catching COVID, death,
so then they
job
could get
loss.
their EMD back because they had like affected by COVID.
Yeah, because they were affected by COVID. So they ended up canceling, and I was like, holy crap, what the hell am I gonna do? My seller says, Ian, I have my moving truck coming tomorrow. I need to pay for it. That it's $4,500. Can you buy my house? And I'm just like. I'm looking at my notes, and I'm like, okay, $250,000 mortgage payoff with a 4.2% interest rate. They're paying $1,200 a month total. On this PITI with this like single story vaulted, beautiful house, beautiful home with a 3-car garage. And I was just like, how much do you need again? $4,500? I'll give you $4,500. If you leave the mortgage in your name, I'll make the payments to the mortgage. I'll be responsible for that on your behalf, and I will take title to the property. But now you'll get the $4,500, and you can pay for your moving truck, and you can move to St. Louis. So.
But what about the difference in like so the mortgage was $250.
Yes.
Were you buying it for $325?
No, I bought it exactly at $255. So $250 plus $45.
The moving truck.
Yep. Plus the $45 to seller. But something she didn't realize, and we didn't find out about this like until 2 weeks before that buyer canceled, was she had an IRS tax lien on the property for $25,000.
Wow.
So her net profit minus commissions and everything only left her with like a couple $1,000s left.
After like that, I got
you.
Yep.
So that was a whole nother fire that we had to talk about. So I was just like, this IRS tax lien was put on in like, I think it was like 2011 in November, I looked this up and I verified IRS tax lien will fall off after 10 years and 30 days.
Wow.
And this was 2020. So I'm just like,
you're very close to
I'm just like dang, 2 more years. That means I can, if I buy this, I can occupy it for 2 years and then declare it owner occupied. Once I sell it, there's no capital gains. I don't know how much it's gonna be worth, but you know what? Let's do it.
So you're gonna buy it for the $255 plus that $25,000 lien that's attached to the property. So you're really buying it for like
$275, $280.
So I mean, so the seller's in there really getting a $280 price. But then if you were to sell it for $320 after commissions, would be like another 6%, and so like it's almost the same price that they're getting for now.
And this deal gets sweeter, right? So I close on the subject too. Right, and I'm just like, oh man, this house is a mess. Like she had 2 big dogs. She was elderly. She couldn't really walk too well, and she had like 3 or 4 cats. I don't even know, but like take all of that into consideration. That bones were good, I guess, right? So I have a friend that we both worked at State Farm prior, and we both ended up becoming agents.
Real estate agents.
Yeah. So his dad was a contractor, and I was like, hey man, I know this guy likes investing, and I know his dad's a contractor, so maybe he can hook it up. I call him up. His name's Trent, and I tell him, hey Trent, I just bought this house without my credit, without getting a loan. Like, it's crazy. Like, let me tell you about this deal, right? So I tell him about the deal, and I'm like, look, I'm looking for a partner on this. And he was just like, what did you have in mind? I will sell you 20% equity for $20,000 cash wired to me right now. And then he's just like, why would I do that? So I pull up the map, right? And I'm like, you see this dirt lot directly across the street? Get over here. So he comes to check out the house, and I show him the dirt lot. They have signs saying new development in the high 300s, low 400s, and I checked the floor plans, and they're the exact same floor plans as the neighborhood that I bought the house in.
Okay.
So I was like, dang, if by the time these are finished in the next 2 years, the like base models are selling high 300s, low 400s.
Okay.
What is my house going to be worth that I just bought subject to?
Yeah.
So I show him the vision. I show him, I'm like, look, I'm banking on this appreciation, and this is guaranteed because these new developments are selling at that. And he instantly wired me the $20,000 the same day. So I'm out of pocket $4,500. He gives me $20K. I'm at $15,500 up.
Okay.
Then I'm just like, you're gonna pay the HOA every month, right?
To your partner.
To my partner. And he's like, done, okay. And I was like,
what's
cool.
the HOA?
It was like $60-$70.
Okay,
it wasn't anything crazy, but I was just like, sick. I'm only paying the mortgage.
Yeah, a little bit of negotiation. Yeah. So, okay.
So I tell him, look, I want to remodel this, and I'm either gonna rent it out or I'm just thinking about living in it. And he was just like, why don't you just live in it, man? Like, you're into cars. You want a 3-car garage. You can have the bachelor pad finally. And I was like, dang, you know what? And I'm living in Henderson at the time, everything's far from me.
Are you renting or are you owning over there?
In
Henderson.
In Henderson, I was renting.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just living in some apartment.
So it'd be easy for you. So this would be your first home purchase then in that case.
Yeah, this is my first home purchase that I'm actually going to live in, and it was a creative deal. So I was like, dang, this is tight. So he sends me the money. I tell him, look, you know what do you think if we remodeled it? Like, let's just repaint it, redo the carpets. Let's get some new appliances in there. Yeah. Let's ask your dad. So I'm being strategic with this, right? Because I'm just
he's
like,
a partner too, so he has a vested interest.
Exactly. So I'm just like, man, he's gonna ask his dad to hook it up, and he's gonna help pay. So it's like it's win-win. Right? Yeah. So he's just like, all right, I'm gonna ask my dad, and his dad's super cheap. Like, his dad said $5,500. Let's do it.
Really?
Like, I'll paint the entire house.
That's crazy.
2-tone paint.
That's crazy.
Carpets. And then
$5,500.
Yeah, and I think it was and that was just for all of like the cosmetic
the basics,
stuff, right?
Yeah.
He even like cut out drywall because there was mold and then replaced it.
Wow.
And I was like, dang, that was cool. All right. And then I just had to buy some appliances, which was just like $1,500. Get some new stainless ones. And then at that point, I was just like, cool, I'm at like 12,000 profit now because we split that 5,500.
So crazy, bro.
I know, right? And I'm just like, all right, I gotta furnish this house, right?
Yeah.
So I buy a big couch, I buy like a nice bed frame, all this stuff. I make a home office, and I'm like, altogether, I'm out of pocket like an extra like $3,500.
Okay.
Now I'm left with like $9K, something like that. And I use that $9K to just pay the mortgage every month. And I think like almost a year and a half go by, and I'm just like, oh, cool, there's no more money in that account. Cool, I basically got to live here. So I lived it up in that house. I did a lot of stuff. I built teams in that house.
Okay,
I had
cool.
like all the rooms just for like my teams to use for calls.
Yeah, so that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, and then at the last 6 months, that was like January, February 2022. I decided, you know what? Let me Airbnb this for like 3 months. Let me move out, move in with so one of my team members at the time, she was just like, oh, just move in with me and then just stay there temporarily while you get this place ready to go, because a vacant house sells faster and better than one lived in, you know?
Yeah.
And I had cats. I had 4 cats, so it's a lot. So moved out, Airbnb'd the crap out of it.
What did you guys pull in a month on that thing?
I think it was like $2,800 to $3,200 net.
That's really good.
And I was just like, dang, this is a lot.
Yeah.
So did that 3 to 4 months and then listed it on the market. It was either March or April in 2022, something like that. I think I actually had it listed while I was Airbnb.
So this was like the height of like when housing prices were still going high.
When interest rates were like in the high 2s.
Yeah, which is stupid. Okay.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh man, interest rates are low. Let me just sell this. I don't need this for.
Yeah.
So we go under contract, and I specifically tell the listing agent, hey, I need to close by, I think it was May 6th and after, because that's when I hit my 2 years of.
Okay, for the IRS lien to fall off?
Well, no, IRS lien fell off in December, but me declaring it owner occupied.
2 of the last 5 years. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I ended up being there, and having it owner occupied for 2 years, did the Airbnb and everything. And then we closed in May, and my net was $203,000 or $204,000.
Wow, congratulations!
No capital
man.
gains. We sold it at $480,000.
That's crazy.
And I was just like, holy crap, 480. I listed it at 450. Market was just super hot.
So I mean, like, that's a crazy story because I mean, like, there's so many little pieces that go onto this thing.
Yeah.
There's the creativity and the things, and you're constantly solving problems like as you go. So it's not just a purchase; it's like the renovation, bringing in a partner, like fronting the cash, finding the contractor. I mean, like even the Airbnb at the very end, finding somewhere to. It's just there's so many like little brilliant like problem solving things that you did along the way that just adds up together to make that $200,000 like profit.
Yeah, and I mean the thing was too is I was working on my credit back then, and I was just like, there's no way I can buy a house, you know?
Yeah.
So after learning about like subject to and seller financing, I was like, this is how I'm gonna do it. Like I need to manifest this.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to let anything stop me from, you know, having success, whether it was buying a house, running a team, or anything. I was always in the mindset of I'm gonna find a way.
Yeah. And I love that. I feel like that's like there's a recurrent pattern in your life where it's like whether it's shoes, whether it's insurance, whether it's real estate agent or real estate investing, is like you're just a problem solver and you just kind of like figure out a way to kind of get things done, you know?
Yeah. And that's like my favorite thing about it. Like I stay so entertained with real estate, and I just feel like I'm making not just an impact for like my own mental health and what I'm doing, but like an impact for all of the people that believe in me.
So like you mentioned you're building some teams at a time when you lived in a house. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I was building like an agent team.
Okay.
And I was like trying to do a hybrid thing of like, you know what, let's try and make cash offers, or and if not, let's get the listing.
Okay. So you had like multiple things on the table for the sellers.
And then I got into like the whole creative finance thing, like following Pace, learning from him and watching his content. And I was like, man, that F-150 story always hits. I've gotten so many subject twos from that. And
really? So you actually use that story when you pitch?
Yeah, I used to. Like, and I've kind of tailored it. Like, I wouldn't say the F-150. Sometimes I would say, oh, my friend had an F-150.
Yeah.
At one point, it was me saying, like, oh, I had a Nissan Sentra, and I was doing Uber with that. And, like, I made so much money from this car. It was so important to me. Yeah, and then I would tell the Tree of Life story. Like, all of those, like, huge impact. Shout out Pace. But, yeah, so I was building the team of agents, and I felt really, really, like, obsessed with my work, but it almost got to the point where it was like in an unhealthy way, like when I was at State Farm.
Okay.
Because I was just like spreading myself way too thin.
Okay.
Like I got to a point where I was just like recruiting a bunch of people. We had like 30 people on the team at one point, not even including VAs. We had like 6 VAs, like 8 lead managers, a bunch of acquisitions.
This is like your team that you guys were doing. So
yeah. So this was the investment team.
Okay.
My agent team was like 4 or 5 people.
Okay.
But the investment team, I was like going hard. I was like, okay, let's squat up. And if you don't want to squat up, then just jump on the team. I'll teach you everything. Yeah. I'll be the integrator or visionary that you need.
Crazy.
Right?
Crazy.
And then it got to a point where I was just like, man, like this is too many moving pieces. This is. And I wasn't hiring correctly. Okay. I wasn't hiring based on what their vision was and it lining up.
You're like, I mean, you're just kind of like ready, fire, aim, right? So like you're just going for it and just making things happen. There's a creating chaos.
Yeah.
And things are happening. Some things weren't happening, but at the same time, as you're creating the chaos, you're still just trying to figure things out. So, how many people did you have in the house at this time?
Oh my gosh, it was like at least like 15 to 20 people coming over, and my girlfriend at the time, she was just like, "What the heck are you doing?"
Dude, it makes me laugh because it's like I can just imagine it. Like there's such a ball of energy and like there's all these people. I mean, like it must be like a madhouse.
Yeah, and it was so crazy because it's like I had cats and all this, and I would volunteer for like some cat nonprofit, and we were fostering cats, so it's like we had a room for that. We had one room that was a home office for
me. Do you have any video of this of like your house back in the day? I gotta see this if you do.
I can look for it. I think I do, but I was like a clean freak, man. I did not want to smell like cats.
That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah, it was really important to me that I go to appointments and people weren't like, "You smell like cats, bro." Yeah, like that was like hygiene and all that. That was like a big thing for me, but. It was like master bedroom. There was one that was just me. That was like my girlfriend and I. We had that.
You're like your safe zone.
That was no one went in there.
Yeah.
And then we had a home office in one of the smaller rooms.
Okay.
We had a cat fostering room, and then the last room was a another primary bedroom with its own bathroom. I had like 8 desks in there.
That was the office.
Yeah, that was like the office for them. Some people were even in the living room, with like the little like
portable desk kind of thing.
Yeah, they had like a little desk converter. They would put it on the coffee table and stand. And then people were like on the kitchen bar, just cold calling.
But you know what's crazy is like, I love that energy. That's like the startup energy, right? Because everyone's like, they're all trying to make it. They're all like chasing their dreams. And then like you feed out the energy in the house and in the room when it's like that.
Yeah. And something that humbled me really quick was learning that I was not hiring correctly. Like all of these people, I didn't even understand what their goals were. I just understood they wanted to learn real estate, and that was enough for me to hire them. That was the biggest mistake that I've ever made, because I think after like months of having this 30-person team and my agent team, like the investor team, they all like kind of banded up and said, "We're overthrowing you. You don't know how to close deals." And I'm like, "Do you see the house we're working out of? Like, I closed this deal. I got paid to close this deal."
So there was a mutiny.
It was a mutiny, and I was just like, "Holy crap, what's happening? The world's gonna fall apart." And I'm like, you know what? I mean, they were all kind of stressing to be around anyways. So that whole thing took like a couple weeks for me to really just like accept that happened. And get back into the flow of like, you know what? All right, let me just go back to running the brokerage. Let me just try and.
So you kind of had to restart the whole thing after. So did everybody leave, or was there any?
Yeah, I like everybody left, and it was just the partners and I. I had like 3 partners.
Okay, so there's the 4 of you guys at that point.
Yeah,
so,
and then one of those partners left.
Okay.
Another one left, and then me and the last partner. Shout out to Christian Hernandez from Sub 2.
So that was your partner.
That was my partner. He was my integrator.
Okay.
He's a freaking closer now, but he was the last one, and then we just ended up realizing, you know what, we have different visions, we have different goals. Like, I want to scale it a certain way, and he wants to be more like niche, pre-foreclosures, door knock, stuff like that. And I was like, cool, all right. You live in California anyways.
So it was a remote partnership.
Yeah. He did come down and like check out the house every so often, and I was like, damn, this is tight. You know, like having all these people band together, creating a family kind of scenario.
That's one of the challenges of having partners is like when you guys first start out together, a lot of times, especially as a new investor, you don't know what you don't know. So like, you don't even know what your vision is, like to whether or not you can't even tell if it's aligned with the other guys because you don't even know what your own vision is. They don't know what their vision is. And so as you guys are growing the business, as you guys are kind of figuring things out, you kind of figure out your vision as you go. So if by luck, some stroke of luck, you guys both had the same vision and the same like velocity, then it'll work together. But if like your vision is different from the other guy's vision, or if you want to go faster or slower, it'll be hard for you guys to kind of mesh and kind of like continue as a partner.
Exactly, and then that's something that I actually dealt with recently. So let me backtrack. So like after getting rid of like that partnership and everything, I was just like, man, what am I going to do? Let me just focus on the agent side. And then let me just wholesale every once in a while and figure out how I'm going to do this myself. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to do a more niche style of investing. Maybe 2-3 VAs. I'll do all the data. I'll do all the acquisitions. And that's it. Like, I'll focus on mobile homes and then wholesale mobile homes here in Las Vegas because those were like the money spot here. I was getting like $30,000-$40,000 assignments, just like locking up mobile home land.
How much were you guys making as a team when it was like the peak of the 30?
Oh my gosh, it was so bad. Like we were only maybe getting like 3-4 deals a month, and I was like, man, this is a lot of people to only get that many deals, and the deals we're getting are the ones that I'm generating. So it's like the team isn't even generating it. So like it was I forgot to mention it was also kind of like a mentorship. So I was just like, hey, instead of you paying for all of your own systems, what if I set up everything for you and everybody puts $100 in the pot at the beginning of the month?
Okay, to pay for all the software and everything.
So I had like 30 people putting $100 in the pot. That was $3,000 every month that I could put towards data, skip tracing, the dialers.
You shared everything together.
And then that just gave them everything. And I was like, that's a pretty sweet deal.
That's a sweet deal for them. Yeah, super sweet.
And then I got to teach like acquisitions every day, lead management.
The cool thing too is as you're you're teaching though, you're probably like improving your skill set as well too.
That's
so
what I really liked. So. That's why I liked having so many people, because like I could see all of the different personality types, and I could really refine like how I teach that personality type, like a D personality type versus like an S or an I or even a C. And I realized that's when I enjoyed like inspiring and coaching people, because that almost gives me more of a thrill than me locking up a deal with a seller.
Just seeing like that, being able to impart into somebody else, right?
Like being like an impact. Like an impact on their skill set that they can take for the rest of their life. That was really important to me.
I love it. So you disbanded the team. You're kind of starting over from scratch. What is the next step? What does that look like? So,
I was just like, man, I had a bigger ego back then too. Okay. So I was like, man, whatever I'm gonna do, I'm gonna be good. Like I'm gonna kill it. And then I got humbled again. Like all of my agent team, I ended up getting rid of them. Okay. Just because it wasn't working out the way I wanted it to, and
it's taking too much time and energy and bandwidth from you.
Taking too much time and energy. Same thing with me focusing on the investment side and the agent side and the brokerage itself. So I decided, you know what? Like after I sold my subject to and made $200,000, in the September directly after that, like a few months after that, I was just like, you know what? I just want to focus on investments. That's around the time when I joined the All-Star program.
Okay. And Ryan Pineda.
Yeah, okay. I did that May 2022 after I closed the $200K deal, because I was like, man, I got FU money. Let me just see what I'm missing out on. So I did that, and I was like, man, I should have signed up for this sooner, because out of every mentorship that I've joined, whether it was like, you know, I liked it, I loved it, I learned so much from it. After joining the All-Star program, I wish that I told myself to join it years ago, just because it doesn't...
What about it was like really helpful for you?
The thing about the All-Star program that was helpful for me was it put you in the mindset of a business owner. And it was just like, hey, like, yeah, you learn how to flip houses and stuff from Ryan, or you learn what Ryan's team is specifically doing in this current market that's working. You don't just learn that. You learn how to scale a business. Ryan's ultimately created that blueprint framework that you can use and apply it to any freaking industry. And that's something that I was just like, man, that's what I was missing. Like hiring correctly and how important that was, having culture. Like
those are all things like nobody teaches you, right? Like as a small business owner, as entrepreneurs, like culture, hiring, and like motivation, inspiration for your team is so important. But then like they don't teach that in the business schools. They don't teach that in books. And like even like as a other, like when you're starting out, like you don't think about it. You're just, how can I make money, right? It's like I need to like hire somebody to fill this role. Versus like, okay, you gotta think about this now. Like they're gonna be with you for a long time. There's all these other things where you have to take into consideration. Doesn't match their profile. Like all these different kind of things that you don't even know what you don't know as a business owner.
Yeah, like. After joining, I was like, wow, culture is like huge. And then it made sense to me, because I was just like, oh, this person could be like the right personality, like profile, like they could be a very like aggressive salesperson, but it's like maybe their core values and culture didn't mesh with mine, and there would be a lot of tension there. So it's like they could perform, just not for me.
That's a really good point.
After I joined the All-Star program, I realized, you know, I need to focus on one thing.
Okay.
So I decided, let's get rid of the brokerage. Okay. Like, got rid of my partnership with running a brokerage, and decided, hey, let me join the Bulkley Brothers brokerage, because I was like, oh man, I want to see what they're doing. You know, they're in the All-Star program too. Maybe it'll be cool. They'll let me do novations here. So I joined their brokerage, and then I'm just like, it's just me. I had like kind of like a systems person working for me that was also a lead manager, but I was essentially by myself.
Okay.
And I was just doing deals. I was doing very niche investment deals, and I was happy building it. And then after that, like I did that for maybe 6 months. I did a couple flips, and I realized, you know what?
What are you making at this time? Like, as like how much have you generated as income when you're doing this?
So that year in 2022.
Yeah.
So in that year in 2022, I made around 400K.
Okay,
so
that's
but
very solid.
half of that was that 200K deal.
Okay.
Yeah. So the rest.
But the system's working though. Like so the wholesaling and things, everything that's doing is like you're generating like 200 plus K in just like in income in. So I mean like the system's working and you're running a business, basically a one-man show at that point in time.
Yeah, and I had like a couple VAs, but they weren't like,
Yeah, super expensive.
Yeah.
And
so at the end of the year, I was like, man, I wanna do something bigger. Like I miss teaching people. Maybe not at the 30-person magnitude, because that was I don't know, my significant other would be really pissed at that if I did that again. My new one, but at the end of 2022, I was just like, you know what, WealthCon is next month. Let's just see what happens. So I just closed on a flip, made some profit in December. Finally, like got to January 2023, and I was just like, cool. And then I saw Gabe at WealthCon, my best friend, the same guy who before told me, you know what, go in full time. You know what, hey, look into wholesale. You know what, do all of this, man. Like, let me help you sell this deal. We finally got to a point where we were just like, what do you want to do? Like, what's your vision? What are your goals right now? Does it make sense? Like, we've been best friends since like freshman year in high school. Yeah. And we've always kind of done the same thing or been around each other.
Just kind of doing your own lanes and like separately, but along the same
like
direction.
We were always like at different levels, you know? Like he worked for Ryan Pineda for a while, like doing all kinds of different positions. And he started like a media company and all these other things. And I was always just like agent, investor, brokerage, investor, and I was just like all over. But I felt like January 2023, we were just like at the same level. We were like, oh, cool. Like, I think it makes sense to maybe try out a partnership, right? Yeah. So we talked about our goals, talked about like how we wanted to do this, and we just said like, F it, let's go. So by the end of February, we locked up our first novation together. And we were just like, man, this is easy. Let's get some deals. And I'm just like setting up texting. We're mass texting. That's all we're doing is mass texting. And the second focus that we wanted to do was brand me as the novation king of Las Vegas. Okay. So I went to every meetup I could to talk about novations. And I was like, okay, cool. As soon as we close this big novation deal together, this novation deal was making $42,000. Okay. And I was like, dang, this is a good first win for us. I'm telling Gabe that. And then after we closed that, I'm like, all right, we got to make a case study. So like, I think we just hired our lead manager. Her name was Eliza. I don't know if anybody's seen me scare her on my stories, but we just hired her. And then she was really good at like Canva and making presentations. So she went ahead and made like a little like case study for,
novation you guys just
did. The novation we just closed that made like, I think it was like 38 to 42,000, somewhere around there if you include agent commission. And we did a meetup with that. And then it was so crazy. We had like, I don't know, like a week to market this meetup because we just picked a date the next week. We had like 30 plus people come. Wow. I posted it in All-Star, posted it in the like Facebook groups and all that crap. And I was like, dang, like, I like public speaking. This is cool. Like getting to like be in front of everybody.
It's like it's the same thing as your coach. Right? Like you get to teach, you get to impart. To like then they get to learn. It's like it's a good symbiotic relationship.
Exactly. And then I was just like, man, like I got a team here. Like I got Gabe supporting me. Eliza's like also supporting me and lead managing. And I'm just like, we're killing it. And now we're making our imprint. Like people are noticing, like we're starting to get JVs sent to us for novations just because they're like, I don't know what that is. I tried pitching it, but it didn't work. And I'm like, you did it wrong, bro. Let me do this. Locking up deals. We're trying to expand our marketing. And like, it was really good for like, I'd say like 6-7 months being partners.
2023, you guys like were just crushing it for that period of time. What did you guys make in that 2023 time frame?
So we had a revenue of somewhere, I believe, a gross revenue of about like mid 400s. And then
very solid.
And then after paying out like commissions, commissions like other fees, and the partner split. It was like, it was low 300s before split.
So you just split two ways, right? You and Gabe. So that's so
and that includes like all of the agent commission as well, because we factor all of that as one.
I got you. Yeah. So then at that point in time, was what's like the next step? Are you guys still partners today? What does that look like?
So we're actually not partners today.
Okay.
And one thing that we've realized after, like after having a good run in 2023 was something you said earlier is like, hey, our visions are right here, right now. But it's like it's like we were going on a freeway, right? Driving next to each other, but he went on a completely different, completely different exit, transfer ramp. And then we're both still kind of next to each other, but we get further and further apart. And it got to the point where we were just like, you know what, man? Like, our visions aren't the same anymore, and that's okay. Like,
that's hard. That's challenging. I think just because, I mean, there's like the friendship aspect of it and the business aspect of it, right? So, like, I mean, even for us, I mean, we've had partnerships that were really well and some that didn't do so well. But like, we've always ended friends. But then, but it doesn't always end like that way because, like, especially when there's money involved.
Exactly.
But the challenge is like you just have like different visions, and when you have different visions, it's hard to like the decisions you make are based on your vision. So then if I want to make if I'm going this way and I want to make this decision, you're going this way and you make this decision. Now like we're clashing like on all the decisions. It's gonna be like chaos inside the business.
And that's exactly what it felt like. And we didn't want to look at each other. We didn't want to look at each other in our friendship differently because of how we were working as partners in the business. And it ended up being a mutual agreement that, you know what, like this is where we're gonna end the partnership because the friendship cannot be affected by this. Like we respected each other too much to let that happen. And then after that, I was just like reevaluating the business. So Gabe and I recently just got rid of the partnership actually this month.
Oh wow, okay.
And then the very next week, I had a talk with the lead manager, and I was just like, I don't know if this is a spot anymore. Like, it doesn't feel like we're on the same wavelength. Our visions, like your vision isn't lining up with my end vision anymore. It's kind of like the freeway. We all took different exits. But I think the most important thing to me was accepting that it's okay that these people outgrew what I was going, where I wanted to take my business, and I wasn't accommodating to someone else's vision or accommodating the business to someone else's situation. Because I have a lot of compassion for friendship. I have a lot of compassion for, helping people out, especially people within the team. But it got to a point where I was like, man, I'm really forgetting about Home Hub. Like, I need to remember what I want and why I'm doing this. Because if I can't like successfully, or if I can't confidently say that I'm doing this for me and for Home Hub and have that also hit and all of the other people's visions that are part of the team, then I'm not doing it right.
It's just not a good fit at that point.
So
I mean, nothing against them. They've got like their dreams and their things.
Exactly.
But it's just like at this point in time with this context, it's just people need to find like where they have like a better like our vehicle.
We outgrew each other on the business side, and that, like I said, it's okay. Like now, like ever since like the whole, like I call it a breakup because that's what it feels like. It's my best friend. And then I've also known the lead manager since like 2010 or 2011 too. So it was like I've known them for a long time. Now I go in and I'm like, man, this is ground zero, but I'm building it my way. Like, I'm pumped. Like,
and that's like the best place to be. I feel like when you have like the new startup energy, is like you're just excited to build and work every day because it's like you're building something cool and you know it's gonna be like cool down the line, or maybe it's cool right now, but it's just like you're in this momentum phase where you're building. It's exciting to be a part of.
And I'm not saying that I don't have like those negative thoughts of like self-doubt, like can I do this? This is overwhelming. Like all of those are normal. If you don't feel those, like I'm calling BS on you if you've gone through like a bad partnership because like I realized, you know what, it's okay to feel all those things. I recently got into like a bunch of spiritual stuff, like, like being present, mindful, meditation, all that jazz. And it's really helped me just work through like what needs to be done in this present moment and what is the most useful thing that I can do. Because it's like ruminating on something, that's okay to do, but it's like, is it useful at this moment?
At it, right?
Like I can ruminate on it until it's not useful to ruminate on it anymore. Then I find a different task that I'm just like, all right, cool. What's more useful to do right now? And I realized, you know what? I like hiring. Like I started interviewing all these people and I realized, man, like I just need a lead manager to get trained, and then eventually move them up into acquisitions, get another VA, I have all this process in my head, but like the action of doing it, I still get the anxiety even like to this day right now. But now I know, like, I'm not waking up every day and anticipating what's going to go wrong at work, because now I'm in full control of what's going to happen.
That's good. I mean, and it's good to be in control of your life sometimes, especially when you have partnerships. Like, it's like you're relinquishing control. It's like it's like sometimes that is a little bit challenging to be in that situation. Yeah. So what does the future in the next 2 years look like for Ian?
So the future in the next, and is like business wise, personal. Okay, in business, I want to build out a team again. Okay. Like I don't want to do a big team. Yeah. I just want to have a consistent quality of just like-minded killers who believe in my vision, and I can support them just the same way that they support me. Love it. Well, if somebody's kind of just getting started, like they kind of are seeing your journey and like all the different things that you've done, maybe what's like one life lesson that you've learned or business lesson you've learned that you'd want to like impart to somebody kind of beginning this journey? So I'm going to say this, and this is my mission statement with my company and anything that I do, like whether it's my personal life, business life, relationship. Just be you. You can be successful being you. You don't have to look a certain way, talk a certain way, or act a certain way, because it's going to be draining if you do that. If you keep trying to do what other people are telling you to do. You can be successful by being you no matter what. And that's all that matters. I love it. So good, bro. Well, if people want to reach out to you, learn more about your business or like how to do some of the cool things you've done, what's the best way to reach out to you? You can reach out to me on Instagram, and my Instagram is Ian Hilario Group. Okay, got it. Well, thanks so much, man. It's such a pleasure just hearing your story and all the cool things that you guys got going planned for the future. But thanks for coming to the show. It's been a pleasure. Bro. Thanks, DK. All right.